Welcome to Manifesting a Life. One time, my husband had this big trailer that had a welder on it. And it was February, he was outside working with this trailer and doing something on the rig, I'm not sure what. And it's parked on the side of our house. Now, our side of our house had a privacy fence between us and the neighbor. And then there was another fence between that privacy fence and the house. So it's kind of making a little box canyon there. And in this box canyon, it collected all kinds of leaves from all the neighbors. I think all the neighbors' trees ended up in that little box canyon. And it would get 6 to 8 inches deep of leaves out there. And he was working out there one day and chopped around in the leaves and stuff and came in the house and had some lunch, went back out, worked around a little bit more. And it was kind of a cold February day. It does get cold in Texas sometimes. And he came back in the house, and that evening he realized his wedding ring was gone. He couldn't find it. It's like, where is it? And so we looked all around the house, and maybe it fell off in the house. We looked outside, all around the trailer, what we could see around the trailer, and we couldn't see it anywhere. He even went and got a metal detector and looked for it that way. It was a gold ring, but they do have some that are sensitive toward gold. We couldn't find it. It wasn't there. And so I was in a dilemma, I really wanted to find this ring. It was an expensive little piece of metal. Also, I had a lot of sentimental value, as a wedding ring. Well, during the same time, I had a friend that I would trade off sessions with him. I would do emotional freedom technique stuff, EFT on him, and he would do something called body talk on me. That's a whole nother story I'll have to tell you about sometime. But he also had one machine that was called a Rife machine that he was showing me. He was real excited about, and he was in the process of buying a second Rife machine. Now, Mr. Rife, back in the 20s, built this machine on the premise that it was an what do my notes say? Electromagnetic waves. It emitted these electromagnetic waves, and he would tune it to what he felt were appropriate for different types of cancers. And so he had this big booklet about how to tune it up for these different types of cancers, and supposedly it would obliterate the cancer cells. And the FDA did not like that. They broke into his office, confiscated his materials, broke up his machines, and kind of just did them in for that. Well, these machines resurfaced in the 1990s, and you can buy them now today. And so Bob had a machine, and he was, showing it to me and everything. And while he was showing it to me, I was telling him the story about my husband losing his wedding ring. And so he said, well, let's try this. And he brings out this other little stand. And it's a stand that has a pendulum permanently mounted on it. And it was really interesting. Usually I have a pendulum right here, And usually you just hold the pendulum and you get the answers. And it's almost like some people say, well, you're influencing it. You're making it swing one way or the other type of thing. And in a way, I think that's kind of what's happening because your body knows what's going on. And you're more in tune with the spiritual energy than you think you are. And so it's kind of like muscle testing. It's just an exaggerated way of being able to sense your intuition. But this one was different because it was on a stand. And you could put your hand underneath it on that stand, and the pendulum would start going in a circular motion. If you've ever been to the western states and some of the state parks, you'll see some of the hieroglyphs that show a hand with a spiral in it. And I really think that has to do with the energy coming out of your hand. That's where one of your chakras are. So that's how Reiki works. You bring in the energy from the universal or God energy, however you want to interpret it, and bring it out through your hands to help relieve pain, to help heal people from various things. And that's how that works. So I guess the FDA can't confiscate your hands. But so that's how that works. And so started asking, okay, now where is this pendulum? Is it inside the house? No. Is it outside the house? Yes. Is it in the side yard? Yes. Okay, we're making progress. So how can I narrow it down into that side yard? So I said, okay, is it within 3 feet, arm's length of the condenser unit, the air conditioner condenser unit? And it said, yes. I said, I can work with this. I can do this. And so I went home and immediately started digging all around that condenser unit, through all those leaves. I mean, these leaves were here perpetually all year round. And so I dug up all around that, 3 feet out. I went 4 feet out, didn't find it. I thought, well, this is a bummer. This didn't work. So I didn't really think about it for about 6 months. And then I decided, after 6 months, I'm going to find this ring. This ring has to be out here somewhere. So using my pendulum, my own pendulum. Now this one, some people like to use different crystals and stuff. This one is actually marble, but I like it. And it usually works for me. And so I took my pendulum out into the side yard, and I divided it up into 3 foot by 3 foot sections. I mean, this side yard is like 15 by 30 feet long. So I divided it all up, and I went through each section one at a time asking, is the ring in this section? And it would say no. And then, is the ring in this section? No. Is the ring in this section? Well, maybe. Sometimes it gives me a maybe. And then no, no, no. And then I got a yes, a definite yes. I thought, okay, I'm going to work on this section then. So I divided that section up into 1 foot grid, and I started going through the grid. About the third grid, it said yes on it. So I said, okay, I'm going to settle on this one. I'll dig around in this one. So I got my pail and my shovel, and I started digging. I took 1 shovel full, and it wasn't in that one. I got the bucket so that I could put the leaves in it. I wanted to put the leaves back on top of things. I got another shovel, and it wasn't in that one. I got another shovel, and there it was, laying right there in the shovel. And so here is the ring. It's not on my husband's hand because, the cold weather made his fingers smaller, but he had also lost weight. And so it had just slipped right off of his finger and fell on the ground without him knowing it. So he ended up buying another wedding ring, or ring that he's using as a wedding ring. And it's a little bit smaller so that it fits his finger better. So that's why we have this one, not on his hand. So I was real excited. So I went inside and showed it to my husband. Look, I found your ring. I found your ring. And so he came out and said, okay, where did you find it? And I showed him, and he said, this is within 3 feet of where the condenser unit had been. Several years ago, we had replaced the AC unit in the house, both the inside unit and the outside unit. And when we replaced the outside unit, we decided to move it further down, closer to the front of the house. And so it was, within 3 feet of where the condenser had been. So what's going on here is that spirit really doesn't understand time. Time is made for the physical world. It's something that we deal with here on this plane. But in the spirit world, they really have a hard time connecting with time on our frame. So that's when, even if you meditate and start asking or use a pendulum or whatever for, when is this going to happen type of thing, it may be a little skewy. It's not going to, it may not be very accurate, put it that way. Or you might ask the question in a more precise way, which I might have had better luck with if I had, excuse me, if I had asked, is the ring at this current time in my life on this physical plane within 3 feet of the condenser unit as it stands now, in this time and plane. But, you don't think about that kind of stuff. You don't know that you need to be that detailed about it. And then if it had said no, I would have to think, okay, what other reference can I make for it? But, so that's how that one worked. I thought that was an interesting example, manifesting something that's lost, trying to find it. So be sure and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and give me a like. That really helps out the channel. What helps out even better, make a comment. Let me know if you've found some lost object and how you found it. What did you use to find it? You just ask. Sometimes people just ask spirit, ask their guides, find this item for me, find my car keys, I can't find them. And then all of a sudden they'll see them, right there in front of them on the table where they had looked 20 times before, and they're there now. I think things pop in and out of our universe sometimes. Maybe that's the universe playing with us. Okay, until next time, see you later.